things in recovery is this really important statement, which is pause when agitated. And now in the years of living in recovery, whatever you want to call it, that idea of pause is an amazing place, because that's really where the transfer of your life being based on reliance on self is turned into reliance on something greater than self. It's in the pause. That's it. Yeah? That's where the whole direction of a life can change in a moment of silence. Not in all the activity and all the thinking, but when there's a stop and you don't immediately react based on the thoughts, but there's a pause and there's a space between the thought and your action, and then anything can happen in that space. A pattern of your behavior that your mind is so identified as being you doesn't go that way. Yeah? And the amazing thing is there's the pause, and then if it doesn't go the same old, it's like being anew. It's like seeing and hearing anew. You're alive because everything is new, and you're alert to it because it's not the same old. And it all, I believe, initiates in that pause. And to me, the pause is the reliance on self is demonstrated every second because you're listening to your freaking thoughts. First of all, you're listening to them already bound by them because you believe they're about you or you're the thinker of them. That's how they're being held. The thoughts are seen by awareness or conscious. We're conscious, so we're conscious of thoughts. Just like I'm conscious, so I can see a bird fly by the window. Yeah? If my eyes are open, I'll see that bird. Now, I may say, I don't want to see that bird, but I saw the bird. I have no choice in the matter. Consciousness notes or recognizes whatever arises. So thoughts are arising in our apparatus, this brain and body, and the thoughts are seen by the eye of mind or consciousness. Yeah? That's seen. What occurs is we believe that while we see the thought, there's been an interpretation that's put over to override that seeing, which is another thought, which is I'm the thinker of this thought, or they're about me. Yes? As soon as that's the bonding agent, yes? So a thought is just a thought until it becomes my thought. As soon as it becomes your thought, your attention is sort of enslaved to it. So maybe your attention would like to go to what's happening now, but it can't. It keeps dwelling in what's not happening up there. Yeah? Why? And yet if you're talking to someone else and they're talking about their thoughts, and you're very clear they're not yours, you have an immunity to the effect of their thoughts. But they're the same thoughts, exact same. They may have different names. Biff is fucking with me, and to me it's Mary is fucking with me, but the fucking with me is the basic same thing. Yeah? But I don't care if Mary's fucking with you, really. I can have incredible wisdom about it. Yeah, you shouldn't even see her anymore. Don't you realize there's a negative bonding pattern between you and her? Blah, 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 blah. But I will have the same thing going on in my head, and it makes great sense to me. Why is that? They're the same thoughts. What changes the meaning of the thought? Not the thought itself, but the mind. The identifying it with the thought. Yeah? Because what happens is when this idea of Paul identifies with a thought, that is a conveyor of thousands of thoughts. That one tag called Paul. It brings up a lot of old ideas and a lot of programming, and that is what gets invested or injected into the thought. The thought isn't really conveying anything to you. You're injecting it the meaning it has. You're giving it the meaning it has. A thought is a thought, but when it's my thought, it has a huge meaning. A thought has maybe a meaning that lasts for 2 seconds. When it's my thought, it can become a novel. Yeah? What happens? There's an injection of meaning into that thought. Not from the thought itself, but from the mind. The act of being identified as the thinker of the thought, the thinker shoots a lot of meaning into the thought. And you're really reacting to the thinker, not the thought. If you were reacting to the thought, it would be a response and you'd have a freedom from it quickly. Because the thought comes and goes. But you believe the thinker's always going to be there and it's always been there. So the effect that the thinker has about a thought is much longer than the thought itself. Yeah? A thought comes and goes. That's what it does. Thousands of them arise, and your mind sees them all day. But there's the old thought of being the thinker, and that thought has been given duration. You believe you're always the thinker of every thought. Yeah? So a thought's nature of coming and going gets overridden by what you think your nature is, which is to be continual, long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah? So in other words, the thinker injects the meaning of the thought. The thought is given a long duration because you believe you have a long duration as a self. So people are fighting, oh, I'm wrestling with my thoughts. No, you're not at all. You don't have to wrestle with any freaking thought. You're witnessing the thought. What you're wrestling as is the thinker of them, or that they're about you. That's what's happening. Because that has tons of data or information that you are not aware of. What comprises the phony, false you is tons of files of old ideas, old complaints, old threats, old vendettas, old fears, all this stuff, and then the thought arises, oh, there's a future. The thinker injects all this fear or anxiety about what could happen to me in the future. The future is a fucking concept, but we make it a living, dramatic episode, like a long-lasting episode that constantly gets renewed every year, which has a lot of advertising, yes, all about you. And so we're struggling with, we think we're struggling with the thinker, the thoughts, but we're not. We're actually struggling because the thought of being the thinker is the dilemma, yeah? The idea that you're the thinker of it. So we're not going to the thoughts. I don't care what the thoughts are. You can be worrying about next week. I could care less. And I have no opinion. Should you or shouldn't be worrying about next week? I don't care at all. But why not ask who is it that's worried about next week? Because it's the who that's giving that thought of worrying about next week the meaning it has, not the thought itself. The thought is like a little door that you think something enters in you, but the little door is you manifest out. You project out. The mind projects out all of these old ideas. You believe it's coming at you because if I could only stop having these thoughts, an alcoholic can make heaven into hell in a day. If you had heavenly thoughts, you'd feel like it was hell after a while. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you had great thoughts. It has nothing to do with that. It's the old idea that you're the thinker of them, or they're about you. That's the bondage. The thoughts aren't binding you. They come and go. If they bind you, then when you didn't have that thought a second ago, then you must have been unbound. Why is it that you continually feel like you're bound, and these are just ratcheting up the links, so to speak, the thoughts? They're really tightening the screws, but you always sense that you're bound, eh? Why is that? Because the one thought of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity has been given duration. You believe it's you. It overrides every coming and going that every thought does. And then it gives those thoughts this nature, that these are long-lasting meanings because they're about me, which is long-lasting. So don't even care about thoughts to me. Just see who the thinker of it is. First of all, there's no way you're thinking. You can't even take a shit yourself when you want to. And you believe you are thinking incredible, spirit, not even in a form called a thought, that you're the thinker of those when you can't even pump your own blood. You can't take a shit when you want. You can't digest food. It's all involuntary, but you actually believe you're thinking, which is such a much high-level activity than pumping blood in the body. And yet we claim that. Yet all day when we have to go to the bathroom at the most inopportune time, we don't get the message. You have absolutely no power at all going on here. Yeah? You're a witness to this apparatus being. Yeah? But of course our head believes, I'm the thinker of these thoughts. Jesus, yeah, give me a break. Let me pre-think the thought. All right, I'm going to pre-think some thought. This isn't the thought yet. I'm pre-thinking. I'll be with you in a minute. Wait a minute. Pre-thinking. It's fun. I can see it. So it's like giving birth almost. I see the head coming out. But it's what is it going? Breached? Oh, no! No. The thoughts arise, and you're conscious, so you see them. Yeah? When you're dreaming at night, you're not seeing thoughts much. Your witness is more pictorial. Because you're not conscious. you're sort of asleep, supposedly, yeah? So that's where you have some great relief, because you're not thinking as much when you're sleeping, yes? Because you never were the thinker. You're not conscious, so you're not seeing the thoughts that can arise based on your reaction to stimuli. Oh, you're very close to that. That's good. I'm reacting to this very close stimuli. So the idea of being a thinker is just an idea. Yeah? Once you believe you're the thinker, that every thought, it's sort of like if I was sitting in a park and there was 30 kids playing in the park, and my kid was there, where would my attention go? On my kid. Yeah. They're all kids. Maybe they're all the same age. Maybe they almost look the same. But my attention wouldn't be going to all those kids. It would be going to my kid. That's exactly what's happening. Yeah? The thoughts are just thoughts, but when they become your thoughts, now you have to clothe them. Now you have to store them. Now you have to sort of say you were bad or good thoughts. Now these are perverted thoughts. I shouldn't want to do this, but I'll do them when I get home later. All this stuff. All this stuff starts happening, and the mind gets activated through the identification as the thought. And what does it do? More thinking. More thoughts get cooked up. It stirs the pot and more thoughts arise. And then your attention gets totally glued to all the thoughts that are about what you think you are or that you're the thinker of. So you get obsessed with self. How does obsession get expressed? Usually through thought, yeah? You're thinking about something all day. Yeah? I'm not obsessed with surfing. In other words, I'm not wet right now, but I may be thinking about it a lot. That would be where the obsession would be demonstrated, is in thought. Yeah? I'm saying the immunity to thought is not based on recognizing what thought is. It's recognizing you're not the thinker. That's the immunity to thought. When you're not the thinker of them, like we have it in recovery, such an obvious example. How could you believe that these are still your thoughts when so many people have shared them at meetings? How can you believe that you're the only one who feels a certain way where you've heard hundreds of people share the same feelings? And how can you believe you're the worst person who ever did, no one ever did what I did, and then hundreds of people that you never even met, but they still have the same problem seemingly you have shared that they did the same thing? How can you arrogantly keep thinking that these are my thoughts, my feelings, and my reactions to life? Life is constantly demonstrating to you the impersonalness of this whole event. Yeah? Impersonal doesn't mean lack. It's actually freedom, to tell you the truth. But the impersonalness of this whole event called living. It's constantly giving us the evidence. And yet we just blindly keep on going. You feel so terminally unique. And then you come in AA or recovery and you listen to people and you're like, Jesus, how did they get my thoughts? I thought I was the only person who had these thoughts. How did this guy or this woman get my thoughts? And so the terminal uniqueness breaks, and then you get a little bit of relief from that isolation that you're in all fucking day, thinking you're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. You're totally isolated. You're totally locked away. And you're locked away, and all your radio receivers, the only station it's getting is K-Paul. Yeah? All it is, K-Paul 24/7. All the time. Just constantly rehashing, speculating. Has absolutely no idea what's going on, but has millions of ideas about what's going on. So, when was the last time that you actually walked in a room without thinking about anything? When was the last time that you actually just experienced walking in a room? Last time, seriously. When did that introspection start? When I was a kid, I was playing. That's all that was going on. I wasn't thinking, will I be playing next week? Or should I be playing with him? Or, hey, he has more toys than I have. Not much. I was just playing, hanging out, anting, playing, running around naked in the backyard, everything like that. Then one day, introspection started to happen. I started thinking that something must be wrong with me. Yeah? That me, I don't know what I am. And then I outgrew all this wonder and awe and grew into what we call normal now. anxiety, the basic atmosphere of life being the future and the past is so much more important than what's going on now. If you're not working towards something in the future, there's no value in what's going on now. You actually don't have any value. You have to accrue value your whole life. You can't actually acknowledge a sense of being. You have to do and have yourself into a becoming something. Forget the being, become something. Right? What happens? So the being's forgotten, the wonder and awe goes away. Then you have to do some extreme sports or shoot up or, get fucked 3 different ways and get some sense of being alive, like electroshock, because you're pretty much dead all day. Just rehashing what never happened and then projecting into what will never happen. So every time you walk in the door, you never even experience walking the door. All you do is experience the thoughts about walking in the door. Then you never really even experience jumping in the water anymore. You experience the thoughts about jumping in the water. Then you never really experience that trip you go on. You experience the thoughts you have about going on that trip. Then you really never experience the experience of your partner. You have thoughts that you experience of her. And when those thoughts change, she seems to change. One day you're in love, the next day you're not. It's very whimsical, yeah. So after a while, you lose all direction. You have no fucking idea what's going on. And then you're prone for anyone or anything to tell you what's happening. And this self thing rises to the occasion and it starts informing you about life all day. It tells you how you're doing, how you're going to be doing, how you were doing, how they're doing. Blah, blah, blah. On, gives you thousands of strategies, tons of formulas, tons of 5-year Stalinist plans that if you do this, and this, jump through this hoop, that hoop, you'll arrive. Can I arrive now? No. Then you have to do and have yourself into this. There's no state of true being. You have to become something. And let me tell you what you have to become. And then what happens? A lot of us go down that path. Does it translate to happiness, joys, and freedom? Probably not. Usually not. Usually there's an emptiness when you get everything that everyone told you you'd be great if you had. You sit there with it and it's just not translating. You don't feel. So then what we do is usually go back to the same dead cow and try to milk it with more. I need more. If I just get more. If I thought I wanted a 5'10" blonde, it's a 6-foot blonde. That's what I need. I need this. And all you do is just change the formula, but you never question it. Just keep going back on the treadmill of doing and having to arrive somewhere someday. And then and it's promised by your head that if you arrive there, you'll be okay. But not now. You'll be living in un-okayness until that point you arrive at. And then you'll get this mythical okayness, which doesn't really deliver the goods. I see it all the time. I watch people, and I watch my own life. I use this example where you're just sitting in your little 1-bedroom apartment, and it's a very nice apartment. It's got nice windows, light. Everything's cool. You're happy. You just feel alive. And then you're reading a big magazine, has a beautiful layout of a couch, beautiful couch, gorgeous couch. And then you start looking around your room, and you realize you're couchless. Never had a couch. And then you start feeling like something's been missing. I didn't know what it was, but thank you for this magazine. It's just put my finger on it. I need a fucking couch. So now what was okay a second ago is not okay because there's no couch in it. So then I said, okay, I'm going to go work towards that couch. And my mind starts running its advertising. You know what? I bet you'll meet your girlfriend and conceive your first child on that couch. You're going to get married to the woman you sleep on that couch with that first time. A lot of good shit's going to happen with that couch. Yeah. And then you think about all your friends who have couches and you get mad at them. Why didn't they tell me what a great life there is to have a couch? So resenting them and everything shit. And then you're suspicious of anyone without a couch now. You're like, jeez. And then it gets strange. And so now the here that was totally okay has been invalidated by this mythical there. Which is, it's going to be great. Not now, obviously. Can't be great now, but when I get that couch. So now that's my new there, my mythical there, which the mind uses to invalidate your here. Because the mind will always find something lacking in what's happening. And it will try to supply that, what's lacking in what's not happening. The unfortunate thing, what's not happening has one nagging dilemma. It's not happening. It's just fucking not happening. So when you have your solution to what's happening and what's not happening, guess what? That solution's never going to happen. So all right, so I get the couch. I worked hard, stole some money. Finally get the couch. I'm sharing with everyone how excited I am. They're obviously not that excited. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, great, Paul. So then the truck comes, and I even help them bring it in. I wanted to get in there faster. I haven't been waiting so long for this moment. They put it in. I had the perfect spot for it, and I got the big high-def plasma TV ready. I sit in it, and I revel in it. Oh, man, I got it. I got the couch. Fuck. And now I'm waiting for the manifestations, and nothing's starting to happen, really. And then I start looking around, now that I have the couch, and I realize, Jesus, I need a matching lamp for the couch. And immediately that mythical there becomes a here, and now I'm on my treadmill to get to the mythical there. Well, I need that lamp. When I get that lamp, then the couch will kick in. The effects of the couch needs the lamp. Then the lamp needs a rug. Then needs that. Somehow the formula's got to work. It's the only one I know. Do and have myself into being something. But you are something already. How can you outdo you? How can you see the doing and having into becoming is really how your mind avoids recognizing its being. You're so busy doing and having to become something, you don't recognize the being that you already are. And in one sense, St. Francis said a beautiful statement. He says, what's looking is what you're looking for. Yeah? The awareness that you are, that's looking, is what you're looking for. Yeah. But the way we're looking for everything is outside us. We never turn the light up on itself and see. That actually that may be what you've been looking for. What's looking right now. Yeah? But I don't even like the word looking because to me there's a lot of ways of looking that we're shopping for here. Yeah? That's what you're here for probably, is trying to shop for a new way of looking. Maybe not. Maybe you just stumbled into this meeting like the smell of ammonia. I don't know. Maybe. You'll get it when you come in here. It's strong. But everyone's looking for something. So in AA, there was an old man that wrote a great book called A New Pair of Glasses. So some of us have been saddled, all of us have been saddled with a way of looking called self-centeredness. Yeah? Addicts and alcoholics are extreme examples of self-centeredness. No one else is different out there. Everyone is living from the point of self-centeredness usually, unless something occurs as they woke up. Well, there's no waking up, but something had to happen. So this self-centeredness is a way of looking. You look at everything and how it pertains to you. That's how you do it. You never thought about it that way. That's just how it works. Yeah? You were saddled with it when you came into its gravitational field, which is starting to become identified as a body. Then you got tattooed or identified as that idea of being the self of all the thoughts. Yeah? That puts you right into the center of the system called self-centeredness. So now everything is looked at as how it pertains to me as a self. So instead of seeing life is happening, your head, without knowing it, you only know the effects, it looks at life as it's happening to me. That's how it looks at it. Yeah? So you never see the bigger picture of what's going on. You see a very small little picture because there's life happening, but your self-obsession takes that thing that's going to open up and it turns it on itself. So life is happening, but then instead of letting it really bloom and you see the magnificence of what's happening here, it gets turned by your attention, being addicted to selfing, and it gets brought back to the center, which is self to you. Yeah? It's called the loop of self-importance. So the energy that wants to just expand and see the magnificence of life happening goes, life's happening to me. Yeah? And in that to me, that's the dilemma, yes? Because then life has been totally misidentified, misinterpreted. And now you're only seeing it from this insane point of view, which is a very small tunnel vision, self-centeredness, very small. It has limited possibilities in there, and you've gone through every bit of it already. Everything it can promise you, it already has. Every way it can promise that it will bring something about for you, you've already been through every one of its formulas. All you're doing now is rehashing it and redressing it. Yeah? putting on a different look, but it's the same old, same old. You're going to the same trough, the same well, and you've gotten used to realizing, yes, this is just what I do, and you don't even expect water anymore. You just know. All you know is when I pull the well, water up, the pail up, there won't be any water, so my mind will make excuses, rationalize, blame someone for stealing the water, something like that. But basically, you've gotten used to not getting any water. And you just hunkered down because you haven't entertained the possibility of being free of self-centeredness. Because you can entertain that possibility if you're identified as it. That's the trick of the system. It just doesn't run, and you're under its influence. You become identified with its running. You actually believe you are what that system is implying. Yes? Which is self being the center of the universe. Me, I, my. But as a body, it's totally erroneous. But when you're caught in that identification, your consciousness gets captured. It doesn't have the ability to expand. It sees things in a very, very tunnel-visioned way that's conditional, totally conditional. And all it is to support the idea of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. So you constantly obsess around self to reinforce the idea of being one. In that, you can't entertain being free of it. All you can entertain is feeling better, getting therapy for it, maybe getting self-esteem for it, maybe making it get a little more socialized so you don't throw up at the next picnic you go to somehow or another. Maybe I can actually have a relationship without, being brought up on stalking charges in the first 6 months, and these improvements seem like great changes, but they're very minimal movements in self-centeredness. Yeah? It has freedom from some terrible unbearability, but that's not truly freedom. That's freedom that it dispenses in the system, but it's not freedom. Freedom is really from the system. That's where the real freedom lies, is being out of the system. And what I'm saying here is, the best way to get out of anything is to realize you're not in it. So you are not a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That's just my little, it's not a demand or a statement, it's just something to maybe investigate. I'm just saying, maybe you're not a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. When that being the center of that system called self is questioned, the effects of that system diminish. Yeah? Its hold on you gets loosened because you've gone right to the core. You went to the one point where if there is awareness placed on that, something will affect, a big effect will occur. When the awareness is placed on any other point, it just gets morphed into the system because you think you're the one that's aware. Yeah? Self-think thinks, oh, I'm conscious. And even spirituality in self-centeredness is a big, big production. There's tons of spirituality in self-centeredness. It's still based on the idea that I'm a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, that this is my primary identification, and now I'm going to do and have to get spiritual. It's the same formula. It doesn't. Spirituality is not an escape from selfing. It is not an escape from selfing. Realizing you are a spirit is an escape from selfing. But spirituality, to me, is not an escape from selfing. Selfing has hijacked spirituality for a long time. Yeah? You'll look spiritual to people who have no idea what spirituality is, and that's your idea of being spiritual. Maybe you can stare, lovingly and like this. I have to leave for you guys. I know you're suffering. I'm not. And, if you subscribe to my monthly magazine and send me $50 a month, you will probably never get out of that suffering, but you'll have the hope that you are. That's the best you can have here. Incessant hope that someday it'll get better. But in fact, I know that it won't. But I ain't going to tell you that, because I'd be out of a job. Literally. The hope is incessant. The mind is incredible. It will keep hoping against all fact that somehow something's going to get better, and I'm telling you, it ain't. Hopelessness is a great state to be in, because then the illusion stops and you fucking wake up. You realize, Jesus, the great wisdom of no escape is there's no need to escape. You are not what you feel so... There's such a seeming demand to get out of self, but that's the way you're in self here. Busily trying to get out of it. The real way to me, what I feel most people mean by saying getting out of self is really realizing you were never in self. That's being out of self. That feeling, I think that's what they mean when they say out of self, is a freedom that actually becomes obvious when you realize you're not in it. You've never been in self. Yeah? So, first of all, if you realize you've never been in self, then you're freed from the biggest dilemma, which is this modality of doing and having. Yeah? You realize you don't, like in recovery it says at some point, it says, you'll be placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. That totally destroys the doing and having model. Yeah? Because what's doing and having? Thought and effort. Yeah? So no thought or effort in your have. So you can't apply doing and having. You can apply it for some parts of trying to tell the truth about what's not happening. But when the transcendence out of self, which is not a transcendence, is not going to be initiated by doing and having. It's a recognition there's nothing to do. That's it. Yeah? I mean a true recognition. Not a recognition as a way of doing again. Oh, there's nothing to do. I'm now going to practice non-doing. I'm going to do non-doing now because I've been doing a lot and I went to a spiritual group and they said, no, non-doing. So all right, I'm going to non-do now. So I'm non-doing this tonight. No, non-doing in a sense is any action done free from the idea of being the doer of it. That's what it is. There's tons of doing going on. There always will be. But it doesn't mean there's a doer. That's what our mind has given it the meaning. It sees all the doing and it says, oh, there must be a doer. Listen to what's saying that to you. See if that system that's telling you that information has been valid at all in your life. Then why rely on it? Why rely on its take that, oh, there's tons of doing going on, so there must be a doer somewhere? Who the hell says that? You're a freaking head. Look at the system it's coming from. The system is bogus. Why would you trust that? Inquire a little more, deeper. Do you have a sense all day that you're the doer of your actions? Of course not. There's certain things that you're doing so quick you couldn't think you were the doer of the actions. It's all response, yeah? Your body runs so much better without you hovering over it all fucking day. Literally. Yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping. The body just, let me get on with it. Let me take the shit. Well, should you be taking a shit now? No. You shouldn't now. You only take one shit in the morning usually. What happened? Hey, I want to take a shit. Just let the fucking body shit, will you? No, it has to mean something. It's insane. So I'm saying there's a simple solution to it all. That there is no problem. That's the solution. That's the solution. There is no problem. Why do you think, how many solutions have you applied to the problem? Have any of them worked? Did you ever entertain that maybe why your solutions aren't working? Because you can't have a solution to an imaginary problem. You can't have a solution to an imaginary problem. You have to just tell the truth that the problem's imaginary. That's the solution. That's what we're doing here. That's all that's happening. We're just attempting to say, the seeming problem that you seemingly are or have is an imaginary one. So what do I do and have about it? Absolutely nothing. Entertain that news. See what it does in you. It'll cook and cook and cook, and then you'll start seeing differently because your seeing will be free from the formalized way of looking that it's been captured by, which is self-centeredness, yes? And all the things that we do to correct the distortion that self-centeredness has produced, yes? So we get new pairs of glasses, and a new turbocharged pair of glasses, and new super turbo glasses. And we're constantly looking. And to me, looking, all these forms of looking are actually the way you stay blind here to your natural seeing. They have a sense of, see, their quality of seeing's in them, but it's been hijacked. It's looking now. Seeing and looking are different. Looking is there's a purpose to it. There's like an agenda, yeah? I'm looking for something, looking at this. But seeing is just its natural state. That's all it can do is see, because it's awareness, yeah? It has been hijacked or conditioned. It's just beautifully seeing. But that ability to see has been forgotten by us, and now we're trying to find ways of looking to correct the prior way of looking. Yeah? But we never realize if something really works as a new way of looking, it should lead you to realizing these are glasses and taking them all off. And then you naturally start seeing again. Yeah? AA is just that. AA is another way of looking that corrects the distorted way of looking called alcoholism. That's what it is. But AA doesn't create a dependency on that pair of glasses. It's actually supposedly, or one of its possibilities is to lead you to a freedom from all glasses. Yeah? So now, if something comes up and my vision gets really blurred, I put on the glasses. But AA to me is to be free of AA in a sense. That's its true purpose. I don't mean not going to AA or recovery, but free from it because the problem doesn't exist for you anymore. There's no more applying the solution of AA to distorted lenses because those lenses have been taken off. The problem does not exist for you anymore. Yeah? That's seeing. All right? And then it gets blurred. You have the tools, put them on, and immediately get corrected, and it leads you to entertaining, hey, I can be free from all pairs of glasses. Now you're seeing again. Yeah, that's freedom. Then you walk in a room, and the thoughts may arise, but there's no emphasis on what your head's doing. All you are is walking in the room. All you are is having sex, let's say. All you are is surfing. All you are is eating. Beautifully simple. Yeah? Beautifully simple. Yeah? Seeming like it's empty, but it's so full of presence. When you're thinking, that thinking fills the presence with bullshit. So you don't sense the presence of spirit because spirit is not a thing. It's empty. That's its presence. Its sense, its emptiness. When we are confronted with that emptiness, what we do is, we don't, but the head, the apparatus spills tons of thoughts into it. So that we'll be distracted from not noticing the emptiness. Because it's a reflection of our own true nature, empty and empty. So we thinking of his thinking. So walking in a room has never happened. It's always I'm thinking while I'm walking in a room. Someone leaves the place, like you said one night. No, you don't even see what you're walking by, because your goal is to get in the car and drive somewhere. Everything else gets extracted from the event. All right, I don't need to look at flowers. No, nothing could possibly come that could be surprising and beneficial to me. The car, me getting where I have to go. And we got a big deadline to do. Next Friday. All right, let's all act like it's super important, earth-shattering. Get it done by next Friday. Woo! It's like addiction, yeah? You get anxious, and then you get the relief. Boom! You shoot it up, and then the mind goes, wow, I like this relief. How am I going to get it? I got to get anxious again. Worry about totally nonsensical shit, and then when it doesn't happen, you go, wow, man, that was great. What I was thinking didn't happen. All right, let's think of something else. Get worried all week. It's addiction. Total addiction of mind. All the while, the solution is right now available. You're looking at me, and there's a recognition of that looking, that seeing. Something's aware of the seeing. That's it. The head goes, I'm aware of the seeing. No, there is no I that's aware of the seeing. There's just awareness of seeing. You know? There's not even awareness of seeing. There's just awareness. That's seeing. So that awareness, that seeing, or hearing, or feeling, or tasting, or touching, or noticing thoughts and ideas, that awareness is you. It's much more prior to your body appearing. It's definitely more prior to the thoughts about you as a body appearing. It's what allows everything to have ever been noticed is that awareness. It is the mother and father of all things and of no thing. Yeah? And it's located, non-locatable. It's right where you are at all times with no requirement necessary to meet it because you are it. It's just a recognition of that and entertaining it. Yeah? If you have difficulty entertaining it, ask who is it that's having difficulty entertaining it. If it isn't you, you'll lose interest in being right about having difficulty entertaining it, and now be entertaining it. But I haven't entertained this. I don't know. I don't get it. Well, who is it that doesn't get it? Well, I thought that was me. It isn't you, so who gives a shit if it doesn't get it? Who cares if your mind doesn't get it? Your mind will never get it. People do that in recovery. They admit to their innermost selves, but now all their days are trying to convince this. that they're sober and they're serious about it. And just thinking, you can have 20 years and you can be sitting in a chair and they'll be telling you, I don't feel sober today. You're as sober as hell. Can't be more sober than that. But your head's, oh, I don't feel sober today. I'm disconnected. Give me a freaking break. Are you spending any bit of attention trying to convince that thing? It's unconvincible. There's no need for it. Your gut is what gets convinced. Just like somebody in this room heard this message and it resonated with them. That gut is now convinced. Now, you can have thousands of opinions of Paul or other people, I don't want to do this or that, but something is convinced of what was registered. It's a done deal. The head doesn't need any convincing. Don't waste a second on this. Just realize it's not you. If you really entertain it's not you, you will lose interest in it. You will lose interest in it. If you think it's you, you want to be right. So when it says you're disconnected, you will sense that you're disconnected, whatever that means to you. I don't know how could you, what does disconnected actually mean? I feel disconnected. To what? Obviously, you're not disconnected to this. That would be the greatest feeling of disconnected. If you get about that feeling, get into that one. Hey, I'm disconnected. Hallelujah. Yeah. Do not let those wires converge again. Let them go. You know what I mean? Don't worry, you'll make it to your next appointment without it up there. Really. You will. Things will go okay. You do not need this as your guide. Seriously. You don't. You'll do a lot better. You'll become free range. You can just truck around and you'll probably stumble on what you've been looking for all these fucking years and you realize it's always been there at all times. What I've been looking for in my life is actually what I would call me. It's been absent because I've been so obsessed with what I'm not all day. What's seeing is what you're looking for, exactly. Right now. See? Your head cannot entertain that because it thinks it has to get ready or something. Or it has to purify or get better. No. It has nothing to do with anything. You are not playing God. That's what this is doing all day. It's telling you what you need to do to get closer to what you already are. Or it tells you what you've done to feel like you're far away from already what you already are. It's impossible. You are that. So what's seeing right now is what you are looking for. How could it possibly be? Well, it can't be as a you. The you think you are will be constantly destined to look for. Because the whole looking for is a way of hiding the fact you're it. So it will never get off that treadmill. It will be busily looking for what it thinks is what's looking. Because what's looking will never be entertained as you. Not by this, never. Not truly. It may say it, but it won't ever truly entertain it. Because if it entertained that, it would threaten its own existence. And its existence is very easily threatened because it doesn't exist. It's a mental movement. There's no reality to it. It's just thought upon thought upon thought, assumption upon assumption upon assumption, old ideas and beliefs which were just thoughts that are just like solidified. All that. That's all it is. There's nothing alive to it. It's just a mind, it's a verbing of mind that creates a sense of being a noun. This. And then the life is told, the story of my life is told from this point. Yeah. And that is the dilemma. That I truly, truly, humbly can say is what you're suffering from, deep down. It always gets rooted back to that. The primary mistake is of identification. You don't have to identify with what you are. You are already that. Yeah? You do not have to identify with what you are. You are already that. Even while there's this constant identification as what you're not, you're still what you are. This doesn't have to stop. All it has to be seen is that I may not possibly be its center. Once that's entertained, you'll lose interest in it, and the interest will go somewhere else. And for me, it usually goes to what it truly is. It registers the fact, the obviousness of being, and then now the game board is shifted, your piece has been removed back to the true starting line, which is this seeming moment, here and now you start living another game. Not of past and future, but of now. And a whole different meaning to it, different, like hits and runs are different, everything is different. It looks like the same stadium, but it's a whole different game going on. And then you'll know the tree by the fruit. You'll know that this was it because of the effects in your life. You'll travel lighter. I mean, literally, travel lighter. You'll be economized. Yeah. The thoughts that are just ounces, they're like little sparrows that come, your attention sees them and goes. Now they're like vultures. They just sit on the branches of your old ideas. And they just hover over you all fucking day. Yes, waiting to bite something out of you, take something from you constantly. They're heavy motherfuckers. The same thoughts. One is given one meaning, the other is given another meaning. You are the meaning giver. And that meaning giver is that ability to give meaning is going to be directed by whatever you believe you are. If you believe you're this idea of this body, then you're going to have a meaning of separation, lack, doing and having, and not getting and not wanting, things coming and leaving, joys that come and go, sorrows that seem to stay. You'll see that when things are going good, your mind will disrupt that and very quickly, but when things are going bad, it will say, oh, this is going to last forever. Have you noticed that? When everything's going really good, how long does it last you before your head starts saying, when are they going to find out I'm a fraud? When are they going to know what I know about myself? Oh. But then, if the same head, if you're feeling supposedly bad, it will say it's going to last for fucking ever. It elongates the bullshit and it shortens the joy. You want to be run by that all your life? And the thing is, it's progressive. The shortening gets shorter and the lengthening gets longer. It's progressive. Yeah? You may have your big run when you were a kid when there was some joy and then a little sorrow. Now it's a lot of sorrow, very little joy. Well, it's not going to turn around, not in the realm of selfing. It's a progressive disease, just like we see it accelerated in addiction and recovery, but self-centeredness is a progressive disease. It is a disease. It is the malady everyone suffers from here. It's the original disease, and it's progressive. Selfing, your life gets smaller and smaller with more and more selfing in it. More and more being right and resenting and having a chip on your shoulder because something would have happened. If that person wouldn't have stopped me, I would have been great. It's all a fucking story. And all the while you're alive right now and you can notice it. And let it become the captain of your ship. See what happens. Start navigating the unknown like Castaneda used to talk about. The conditional mind wants to know. It will stay in misery as long as it's familiar than to try something new. I saw it with my mother. That's how she died. She was a very powerful woman. And as she got older, she became an active alcoholic and ended up just sleeping on a couch every night drinking Schaefer and Rheingold beer. And I'd walk in and the TV was so low, I'd try to put it up higher, and she'd immediately wake up and go, "The neighbors! What will the neighbors think?" I said, "I can't even hear it." "What do you mean the neighbors? You think they're waiting to see if the TV in your house mom gets turned up?" Her whole life is preoccupied by what others thought. It's fucking incredible to see that. Especially when I'm a kid, she was everything to me. And to see it dwindle and get so small was unbelievable. I was so pissed at that. The alcohol was drinking, falling asleep, and just worried incessantly about what others were thinking. About what was happening in the house when no one was thinking about what was happening in the house. Yeah. That's called selfing, the progression of selfing. So, hey, you've been served, brothers and sisters. Now you have no excuse. You may say, "Oh, Paul isn't good," or whatever, but you got served, bro. You got the message. Now you can't say, "I've never heard this before." Because that's the whole point that happened to me, literally. I was busily looking for, but I never fell upon this message. Yeah? And because of that, I had no idea. I was totally wrapped in doing and having. I thought I was just going to improve this and get better, and I thought spirituality would do that. And maybe I'd have some peace from this insane place I was living in and thinking it was all outside and somewhat me. And I was in that dilemma, and I was practicing a lot of spirituality, but when I was introduced to this message, yes, then as soon as I heard it, it was the last answer. It was like an unspoken yes in my gut. It was a done deal, and I haven't gotten a new download since. Man, this seems to still be the last answer. Everything started to get cleared up because the fundamental problem it wasn't based on what I was doing and having. It was who thought it was doing and having it. Once I started looking that way, I started getting freedom from self, from the bondage of selfing. So now I can walk in a room and have sex and do this and eat, or not have sex, or not walk in a room, and I don't thoughts about that either. Thoughts arise, but there's no attention to them. There's an attention just to the being. Yes, it's called traveling light. Try it. So we'll pass the basket, eh? Any questions?
Yeah, Paul.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like nothing makes folks more angry than to hear that there isn't a problem.
Good. I'm happy.
It seems like that sets them off more than anything else. They can't stand that.
No, what I found in all the talks, if you start talking about doership triggers the most primal selfing of all, because your whole life is based on you being the doer of it. That's the whole basis of your story, the mind story. If that's taken out, it's a major threat to the story of self. Because if you're not the doer of your life, whose life is it anyway? Yeah, I watch them. They get very unruly when you bring that up. I try not to bring it up often anymore, because the natives get restless. I'm going to get strung up, you know. When I do it, when I go to other cities, I always have to leave in less than 3 days. Because they really like me the first day, but after they think about it, they all stop looking for me. Where is that guy? I want to say something to him. Well, he went home again.
There's a great story about a sage in China. He disturbed the people so much they kicked him out of the town, you know. Then they said, we should have killed him. He's gone now. So they went and searched for him. They couldn't find him. It's a true story. So they burnt the whole mountain down in hopes that they could get him.
Oh, gee, really?
So be careful, Paul.
Oh, my whole freedom and security is based on my true belief everyone's out to lunch. They actually don't know what they're hearing until like days, months later, so no. Well, none of us are out to lunch. Do you understand that, yeah? The head is out to lunch. The head is constantly living in what's not happening. That's being out to lunch. What you are is not out to lunch.
You said something a number of months ago, you probably repeated, but it struck me so well, and that is that if you've got something on Friday and it's Monday, and you forfeit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and worry and angst and all the bullshit that goes with that, and then Friday arrives, it's just really served me to completely let it all go.
That's great.
Absolutely let it all go.
Yeah, it's good to, at least you can look at what's not happening and what's happening, yeah? They're pretty easily to tell the difference. And not if you start with what's not happening, then you won't be able to tell the difference. But if you start with what's happening, just recognize what's happening here, then when what's not happening appears, you'll have an immunity to it because you've acknowledged what's happening. Most of us are in the habit of not acknowledging what's happening, so we get swept up into what's not happening all day. And after a while, we don't know any better. We live in what's not happening. The day provides us the opportunity. What's happening provides us the opportunity to live in what's not happening. And so many of us are just dwelling in what's not happening all day. And the solution to it is available right at that point, because there is something that's happening, which is this. So just become awake to what's going on. Yeah.
At the beginning, you were talking about the thoughts and the thinker having the thoughts, and that the thought is just a flittering thing, but I attach all my past history and attachment to that. Is that what I guess for me, I'm trying to figure out how having some random thought then creates a feeling, and then I go, fuck, I gotta go react to that feeling.
Yeah.
Is that...
Well, that's like, to me, it's like almost like memory banks. Yeah. Memory of feelings and thoughts, and so one begets the other. So something will come up, and when your condition, which is the vanguard of that is the idea of being Paul, all those programs are right there. When that Paul reacts to that feeling, like I'm having the feeling, then all those things inject into that, and that creates more stuff coming up. from the memory. Yeah? So basically, you're rehashing everything all the time.
So this thought must create this feeling.
Well, it doesn't create, it makes it, because there's no creating. It says makes. Yeah, makes. But the thing is, that's where the transfer of life is in the reaction. See what reacts to that feeling. Yeah? See, selfing will try to, the head reacts quickly, but prior to that, it's that pause. Yeah? Which isn't a reaction, but that's truly meeting the feeling. Because the pause is awake of the feeling. It's conscious of the feeling. That's the perfect meeting of the feeling. That's when the feeling gets totally engaged and can go. Everything is completed. But the head is reacting to the feeling. And when the head reacts to the feeling, that's a reliance on self. Yes? You're relying on self. So the stimuli does something, there's a reaction. Self reacts to it. And that reaction triggers all these memory banks to kick on. And then thoughts and feelings that this stimuli refers to, the self, kicks up. So you refeel things, and you think things, about that, which you've done about what you thought that was many, many, many times, yes? It's a constant rehashing, yeah.
What about a decision like you have to make in everyday life? I mean,
Yeah.
obsessing on a decision. I mean, there is a decision you have to make in life. I mean,
Yeah. What about the obsession with it?
I mean, like, say if you think you need to, like, move jobs, or, I mean, say if I decide in my head I need to change my job, how am I going to stop thinking about that? Or,
Well, how are you going to stop thinking about that is maybe holding it, entertaining that you're not thinking of it, first of all.
well, if
What's
I-
thinking about, yeah.
I've made decisions in my life, like, just brought me here to this point.
Yeah. Well, you thought you made the decisions.
Well,
I think the
good and bad-
decisions
good
made
and bad
you.
decisions, but they still brought me to where I am right now. I mean, I'm not going to listen to my head or something. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I mean, I don't understand. I get what you're saying, but I mean, like, what am I saying? My head is fucking stupid. I can't listen to my head because, you know what I mean?
No. See, decisions are made and stuff like that. Like, one teacher broke it down very well. There's like the working mind and then the psychological mind. We're not talking about the working mind. The working mind knows how to take this piece and that piece, put it together and make something work, yeah?
Build a house.
Like I'm a carpenter,
Yeah,
yeah? So I work every day as a carpenter.
exactly. So your head, you have a working
Yeah,
mind.
in my head, like, I've got a working mind, so like, I'm filling a fucking cabinet, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, my head's constantly thinking about that cabinet.
Yeah.
But you do it automatically.
All right, but that's all right in a sense because that's what's in front of you and you're working and trying to make the cabinet. But then there's the psychological mind, which is saying, there's better cabinet makers than me. But this is all that baloney. Yes, that's the stuff that's not needed for any decision or any action in life. Yeah, and the decision is you weigh the pros and cons if that's what you feel you need to do. See, to me, I feel more. I just have that intuitive thought, yeah?
You
Something comes
gotta
in.
know the difference between the thoughts of.
Yeah, you get a flavor of it after a while. Exactly. That's what we're doing here. You see, if I just...
I was misunderstanding, like, I was like misunderstanding what you were saying about like thoughts. I mean, you gotta entertain some of them, like, and you're saying you gotta like know the difference between some of your thoughts and.
Well, something knows the difference. You don't, because the idea of you needing to know the difference is also a thought.
You said about spirituality, like, I mean, you were saying ignore spirituality and like, get into what? I mean,
Well, I'm saying just ignore spirituality.
yeah.
Don't get into anything else.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just clear in my head now.
I know, that's good, the question. But there is that thing, see, like people go, well, then I won't be planning. No, planning occurs. There was never a you that was planning.
So I had nothing to do where, like, I had nothing to do really anything.
That's right. You don't have to change one damn thing. All you have to take is really just see an addition that your head's putting into everything, that you're the doer and the thinker and the decider. But decisions and doing and having happen here. But there's no you that's doing it. That's the freedom. Yeah? There's so much, you cannot believe the amount of pressure you're under by that you that thinks it's doing something. Because its whole existence is based on if it works out or not, or do this or do that. This is going to mean an earth-shattering event. It's always got a huge meaning to it. And it really isn't that case. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened, I mean, maybe something really bad happened to you last week. You've probably forgotten about it now. I mean, really, life just happens and things keep on going. Yes? We're sitting there pondering it with thought. It's like trying to pick up an egg with a mallet. You know what I mean? banging life with thought all day. It's ridiculous. There's another way of holding it. You know? Thoughts arise, but I'm not the thinker. If I'm not the thinker, I'll tell you, then if a thought has some real value, it seems like my attention registers it. When it doesn't have much value, my attention doesn't register it. Because my attention is now freed to have a real discriminating aspect, because it's not totally taken over by selfing. Yes? Where every thought means a lot to me. No, most of it's bullshit. Yeah? But one or two may be good. My attention grabs that one, grabs that one. All right, 4 hours. Yeah. But now you're glued to it because the thoughts have a different meaning. They're not informing you, they're making you. So it's quantity. Yeah? It's quantity. It's every thought, my thought. Just to get a sense of duration and being something. When your mind is freed from that idea of being a self, your attention is quality. Intuitive thoughts are incredible. You'll just be somewhere and suddenly something will pop in and it will just make you turn and you'll see what you needed. Yeah? Sometimes that's how you get communicated to, is through a thought. But there's other forms of communication that you get. There's other ways to download information, not just through thought, yeah? Other ways. And if you're open to it, you'll be driven or led by forms of wisdom you're not aware of, because most of our information or knowledge comes through thinking, and it's bogus. Yeah? There's other ways to be informed without thinking. You get sense. Yeah, you feel something. You become intuitive. You recognize something. You can't put your finger on it, but you know. And it's sort of like you have the ability. It's almost like night vision. Yeah, but there's no goggle. You can navigate much clearer in life, where you wouldn't see things. You see things, not just by thinking about them. You see them. You sense them. You know. Blah, blah, blah. It's beautiful because you're so equipped to live differently than the way we're built now. Right now, we got this incredible transmitter and receiver, and all we're doing is picking up one station, K-Pol. It's fucking insane. You can be picking up unbelievable info, like light, just pure light. Not you, but you can sense joy and presence and happiness and peace. That's a download. That's a sense of information that's there. But we don't know how to mine it because we're using these very archaic tools of thought, thinking. And thinking is all the past. It's all from the past. You never have a fucking new thought. They're all been thought before. They're old. It's habitual. This is a new way of knowledge. It's available. Yep.
Yeah. In our 12-step program, that we practice, we're being asked to find a higher power of understanding. Where does that come into play in this? Is that the intuition? Is that the sense?
Well, it would be best for you to find out what it is for you.
Well, how does it, I don't hear you say anything about that in what you're talking about.
Well,
the missing piece is, it's something that, we're all here because of the 12-step program.
well, let's say if you start as this, then the first way it can be acquainted with something other than this is making an out of this, which is a higher power. Yes? It'll still be in a sense of a this, but it won't be this. Yeah? So you make an idea of a higher power or your concept of your own understanding. But for me, in my experience, if it's entertained, the present tense verbness of that will obviously mirror the present tense verbness of this, and then there won't be this or that, it's just this. Yeah? That's me. So, but wherever you are, the only way you can entertain a higher power is of some idea of a being that's not you, that has more power and juice than you, then entertain that. But your concept of it's going to change over time. Because when you entertain it, it's going to reveal itself to be what it is, not what you think it is. See, to me, this is just for me. AA says, in recovery, it says, a higher power of your own understanding. I want to find a higher power of its own understanding. Yeah? Maybe in the beginning, I want a higher power of my own understanding, because that's all I got, seemingly, is my own understanding. That's called self-centeredness. Yeah? I want to open up in time, hopefully, to a power of its own understanding, not based on this self-centered understanding, because whatever higher power, watch it, check out yours, supposedly, your higher power. Whatever higher power has been formulated in this system of self-centeredness, this higher power will be weaker than self. The overall way you travel during the day, the higher power may be relieving of you, but basically the burden is being overwhelmed by self and not the higher power. Yes, because the higher power, in the concept that you're using to understand it, is always going to be a less powerful thing than the selfing. It just is. So to me, all right, I start with that. I start getting some samples of what it's like to be somewhat out of self by relying on something greater than self, which is I gave this thing that meaning. Then that information, that entertaining, starts intimating what's really going on here, which is I want to know that by its own understanding. Fuck my understanding, because my understanding is going to define it in a weak way. I'm going to limit its possibilities if I apply my understanding to it. But if I surrender to its understanding, then it blows my understanding out of the water, and I get redone, or my cards get reshuffled so that I can fit myself around that circumstance of all there is that, then have that circumstance be fit around me, which is what most of us are doing. So it says in our recovery program, you have to stop trying to fit circumstances around you, but fit yourself around circumstances. So to me, the same way can be applied to the idea of a higher power. At first, I fit it to my circumstances. I'm self-centered. I need, the only way I can access this thing is if it fits my understanding of it, which is incredibly insane. But hopefully, after a while, that will be dropped, and I will surrender to its understanding of itself, which is that it is fathomless, infinite, all possibilities, and incessantly now, not put off, not done or halved, but incessantly now. That I'll surrender to. Now, I didn't start out that way. I started out there with an idea of a higher power that was going to get me parking spaces, meet the girl, get me a job, make sure I have money coming in, all like that. And it expanded over time. There's nothing wrong with that, but it expanded, and it got to a point where I surrendered to its understanding, which is that it's everything, all things, at all time and no time. Shit. Yeah.
I don't know if it's just semantics, but when you talk about removing yourself and the I'm not doing and having, I get a little confused in the...
You don't remove yourself.
Right.
There's no removing yourself. That would be doing and having. All you do is, if I was listening to this, what I would do was nothing with it. When I left, that would be it. Let it cook, let it does what it do. Come back if you like, or read something if you like. Just start throwing a couple of these little nuggets in there, and they're like little magic pills. They'll do it. You ever see those little pills you put in water and they blow up? Well, that's what it is. Put it in you, it'll blow up in you, and then it'll do its little thing. Yeah. So the idea of doing anything is totally against the whole message, because there is no personal doer. So it can be, they may be doing something, but if the doing is read by your head as I'm doing it, then that's missing the point. Because then, if you believe you did something to attain something, you will definitely believe you can do something to lose it. That's not the message. The message is you're inherently that. There's nothing you can do to fuck it up, nor is there anything you can do to bring it about. It's already so, and it's unfuckable. Can't be touched by anything here. Nothing can touch it here. Nothing can touch it here. The most heinous act doesn't touch it.
If I'm experiencing conscious contact, I'm not because I think I'm experiencing it.
If you're what?
If I'm experiencing conscious contact, I'm not really because I'm thinking I'm experiencing it.
No, you're experiencing conscious contact, but your attention is going to the interpretation that I'm experiencing conscious contact.
I don't get that.
Well, I know. Come back. Seriously.
Thank you, Paul. I've been using you as a vehicle that reinforces the immunity from self and liberating, and it comes through the form, all my thoughts that work has been passed on to me in AA because that actually works in my life. Because I've been immune. They were not of my thoughts.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
It reinforces that. Thank you.
Exactly. Once you realize they're not yours, you'll lose interest in them. This you struggling with thoughts that you're totally interested in sucks. You'll never beat the obsession with self. But if you realize you're not the self that you're obsessed with, you'll lose interest in it. I swear to God, that's how it works. It's
Right.
really simple.
And knowing that fact there's nothing to fix, I can be my own self-healer.
That's right. By realizing there was nothing to be healed.
Heal thyself.
That's right. There's nothing to be healed. That's how you're your self-healer. That's the beauty of it. Then there's things out here to be healed, and they will happen or they won't. The healing of your spirit, there's no need to heal the spirit. Nothing can ever happen to the spirit.
I shut down.
It's not something that anything can happen to, you know?
Right.
For something to happen to, it has to be a thing, yeah? In a sense. So, you know, have you ever seen everything happen to the wind? No, not really. You can't hit it, right? I hit that wind today, right there, right in the fucking wind face. No, you don't face nothing. It's just you know, because you don't see sky. When the planes, they don't bump into the sky. Oh, you're away, there's a piece of sky there. No, they're in this huge thing called what we call sky. It's just space. Yeah, that's what awareness is sort of like, in a way. It's just space, but it's intelligently conscious. It's truly alive. It's past alive. Alive would be existence. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's incessantly on, and it's not. There's a whole lot going on in there, in a sense. It's like crackling with a lot of things going on. So, yeah, Serenity Prayer. So no meeting next Saturday here, nor the next Saturday. There is a meeting Monday night, and there's a meeting Wednesday night. And if you want, go to Zen Fish Slap, and the schedule's there. So I always know when people haven't been going to the website because they come here when the thing's been canceled. Because it's on the website. That's my test. ZenFishSlap.com. Talks, you can download it if you want. I'll have to do something really stupid. Thing to hurt. The Wii version of Serenity Prayer.